Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Fern Creek Stickers, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Fern Creek printable sheet on a Cricut. Now, going into this, I will say I'm a relatively new Cricut user. I did not get a Cricut until January when I started working on the printables, and I realized I needed to actually have a Cricut to see how it worked. So I'm relatively new to this platform, but I think I've worked everything out and figured things out. So all of the PNGs that I have for the Cricut are ready for the Cricut. They've got the white outlines that they need, or they're cropped if they need to be cropped. Everything is all ready and set to go. I will say there's one tiny limitation with some of the Cricut files, is that for some of them, because the cut space available for a print and cut in a Cricut is smaller than a silhouette or the graph text that I was using before. For some of the files, you'll find that like the silhouette version, there are 2 sticker sheets on a page, and for the Cricut, there's only 1. This is something that in future designs, I will be updating and fixing to make sure that you can use the sticker paper more efficiently on a Cricut, but I didn't want to have to redesign everything from scratch. So it's still available to you, but you're gonna notice there's a little difference with that from the silhouette. The other thing too is there's a very limited number of kits that do not work for the Cricut, again, because of the size limitation. So an example of this, the 7x9 compact vertical kits, currently the sheet size is too big to work on the Cricut. And again, this is something that I will be fixing for future kits that I make, but for now I was just trying to move over my old files into printable format and didn't want to have to reformat everything. So that will be changed, and it is clearly noted in the shop which files are not Cricut compatible. With that out of the way, let's get started and talk about how to print and cut from your Cricut. So the first thing you need to do is on your computer, open a new project in Cricut Design Space, and then you are going to go to this upload button and upload the image for your file that you want to use. And for the Cricut, you're going to be wanting to use a PNG, and there's PDFs, PNGs, and silhouette files all included in the download, and you will want to pick the PNG. So you select the image, you say, okay, that looks like the right one, hit continue. And on this page, you don't need to do anything extra. The background has already been taken out, so there's nothing special that you need to do. You can just click apply and continue. Then on this convert upload page, you want to pick flat graphic and hit continue again. Then you can name this whatever you want. You can keep it just the same as the file name or organize it however is easiest for you, and then click the upload button. Then it's going to put it in your project. Right now though, it is too big, so the default size is often not the right size. To find the right size, you can look at the instructions that came with the files you downloaded. These are going to be different for the Cricut depending on which file you're doing, and if you scroll down, you'll always find in bold the correct size is going to be here. But again, this is going to vary, so you do want to make sure you check. So here in this case, it's 6.625. So we can close the instructions, come here, we want the width. You want to make sure the lock is turned on. If you click it, it unlocks, and if you click it again, it relocks. And you want it to be locked for this. You hit 6.625 in the width, hit enter, and the height will also resize. And now it is the correct size, so that these boxes will be 1.5 inches wide, so they will fit in your planner. From there, you can hit the make button and save the project, save it, add it to collection, however you want to organize your stuff. And then you want to make sure that it says print and cut. You're doing it on the mat, 8.5 by 11 material size. You don't want to mirror it, and you should see the preview here, and it all looks good. So you hit continue. Then you're going to click the send to printer button, and it's going to add the registration marks for you automatically. Hit next. Now this is where there's a couple things to pay attention to. So you want to make sure you pick your right printer. In this case, I only want 1 copy. You do want to have the add bleed selected. You want to do this on all of my files. That's relevant for some files and not for others, but it's not going to mess things up on the ones where it's irrelevant. And then you also want to pick use system dialog, because this is how you're going to select the best print settings. Then you hit print. The thing that is weird with this, at least on my computer, is the system print dialog shows up behind Cricut Design Space instead of popping up in front of it. So if you're just stuck on this spinning circle, you want to hide Cricut Design Space, and there is our print dialog hiding behind it. I don't know why this happens, but if you're looking for it, that's where it is. So again, you have your printer selected, and here's where you want to change your media and quality. This is going to vary how this looks, what your options are will vary depending on what kind of printer you have. There's usually going to be some kind of quality option. You always want to make it the best. And for paper type, you want to select what's closest to what you're using. In this case, I'm using matte removable paper, and I use the specialty paper matte option. If you're using glossy sticker paper, you might choose specialty paper glossy. This is something you can play around with a little bit, but it will, depending on the paper type, a big part of it is how much ink the printer actually puts out on the paper. And so you want to have better quality prints that are more vibrant. You want to have the right amount of ink. And actually too much ink can be bad because then it'll smear. So you want to try to pick the setting that seems best for you. Again, exactly how this looks will vary depending on your printer. Then you hit print, and we can go back to Cricut Design Space, and it's going to print. So now we have our printed sticker sheet, and it is time to cut. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put it on your mat, and you want to put it so that the upper left-hand corner aligns with the upper left-hand corner. It'll show you like a little image of this on the computer, but you just want to get this lined up with the lines and put it on there firmly. Then on the computer, you can hit the done button. Here, you are going to want to set the material that you're using. One of the questions people are going to have is which cut setting to use. A lot of sticker paper settings are to go too deep, so I'm going to use a regular paper setting, but again, you'll need to experiment and see what works best for you. Also, if you're using online label sticker paper, they do have a nice table on their website that gives suggested cut settings, so that's a good starting point to use, but it does take a little bit of trial and error depending on exactly what you are using. So I'm going to look for a paper here, and then I'm going to go for some heavy copy paper. Then you can also too, with the pressure, you can choose if you want it to be default more or less for that setting. And again, this is one where maybe if your blade is getting duller, you might choose more, but this is where you have to experiment a little bit and see what works best for you. So then it's going to tell you to load your tools and material. So this is where you load in the Cricut mat. And it's pretty hard to mess this up because it has these little plastic guides to make the mat fit, and you hit the insert button, and it's going to measure the mat, and then it will prompt you on the computer to hit the go button, and it will read the registration marks and then start cutting. So now our sticker sheet has finished cutting. You can hit the load unload button to unload it from your mat, and you have your sheets. Now at this point, the one thing with the Cricut is that it can't do multiple passes with different settings. So if you're happy with this as is, you have one sheet that has 4 little sheets on it, and you can just take it off. If you want to cut these into individual sheets, I will show you what to do next. So to cut this, again, you're going to have to make a new project and go to upload again, and there will be a file that came zipped with the instructions. And again, if you look in the instructions, it will tell you what the file name is because it's going to vary. Here we've got this quarter sheets file, and it's just white boxes, so you're not going to see anything when you click here. I should note that there are a very small number of the stickers that for various reasons don't have this option. Almost all of them do, but there's some technical logistical reasons it doesn't work for all of the sheets. So now you can see these 4 boxes, say apply and continue, flat graphic, upload. And again, we're going to set this width here to be 6.625. So now that is the correct size, and we're going to go to make. Type in a file name to save it. Now this time you're going to skip printing. So you're just going to hit this I've already printed button because there's nothing to print here. It's just going to cut boxes out. And then it will come to the materials, and in this case I am going to pick the sticker paper. I think that this works well for the outline. And again, you're going to load this same sheet in that you have already cut. It's going to measure your mat. and then you can hit go, and it's going to cut out the 4 boxes through both the sticker sheet and the backing. So now that we've finished cutting the second time around, we can take the individual sheets off, and we have 4 little sheets instead of having the stickers all on one big sheet. So functionally, it's the same whether you do the second pass or not, but depending on how you want to store stickers or use them, if you want to have little sheets that you can stick in your planner, this gives you a great option to do that. So that is everything you need to know to print and cut a Fern Creek printables designed on your Cricut. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. You can also send me an email at ferncreekstickers@gmail.com.